back to a brand new movie review on the channel today, and today, very special day, today I am finally going to be reviewing Scream 6. It's hard to breathe in this. And to name a few, this film stars Jenna Ortega, Melissa Barrera, Samara Weaving, Courtney Cox, Mason Gooding, and Jasmine Sylvie Brown. And of course, this is the sixth entry in the Scream franchise, and this time our group from Scream 5 has been brought to New York. They're all attending college now, they're all living their lives, and of course a Ghostface shows up again, and they're once again put into this cat and mouse scenario where they must survive and figure out why this Ghostface is targeting them. Now, I do want to say before I actually get into this video, this is a spoiler-free review. I'm going to be talking about things I like, I'm going to be talking about things I dislike, and this actually might be pretty quick because I really don't have that a lot to complain about because I freaking love this movie. I really wanted to see how they would push the boundaries with this movie. All the advertising made it seem like this was going to be the one Scream movie that was completely just crazy. Like, just crazy. And I was really interested in what they meant by that and how crazy they were going to go and what they were going to change. But I was really surprised by this movie. This movie was freaking awesome. And this is going to be sort of hard to explain because I don't want to spoil anything that happens in this movie. But let's just say that there are certain things that they do in this movie that really changed the franchise. There are certain ideas that they've never done before that are present in this movie, and they put them in this movie and they're all expertly done, and I don't want to spoil them. The comedy's really good. This movie has a lot of great moments, and also the horror is just as good as it ever is. This isn't like something I'm going to be talking about directly, just because every Scream movie has this and everyone does it fantastic, and this movie is no exception. It's fantastic. It does it really well. There's some really good funny moments that had me dying, basically. And there's a lot of moments from the horror that I was just genuinely creeped out by. And while we're on that, I do want to talk about it. They upped the violence in this movie so much. Like, I was shocked. Because, like, I kind of thought, you know, it was going to be a tad more violent. But I wasn't prepared for how friggin' violent it got sometimes. Even compared to some of the other ones. Like, it ups the ante by, like, 1,000,000. It's crazy. But I can't say I didn't enjoy it. I had a lot of fun with it. I was sort of worried that it would come off almost like a Jason or a Halloween, where it's like, it's almost just like trying to be violent for the sake of being violent. But they do some really cool things in this movie with the violence, and it all looks insanely real. And you know what? I can appreciate it for that, and I really did enjoy it, because it was super entertaining to watch too. Another big thing I'll say about this movie is the plot and story. I'm not going to be spoiling it directly, but it is super engaging. I was constantly on the edge of my seat throughout the entire movie. They sprinkle so many little details throughout the movie that get you thinking, that make you question, they make you lean in different directions for sort of who's doing this, and it was all expertly done. It was just put in such a way that just made every scene feel important. And if it's not a character building moment, they're trying to figure out the plot. And I really enjoyed it, and it just kept me on the edge of my seat, kept my eyes glued to the theater the entire time, and I can't appreciate it enough. Another thing I really wanted to say is there were a lot of actors in this movie that were really given their chance to shine, even more from the last one, but I definitely think the two actors that really brought their A game this time, even more than the first one, was definitely Mason Gooding and Jenna Ortega, obviously. They get a lot more to do in this film, and it was really appreciated, because in the last one they weren't bad, but they're definitely, in my opinion, the more underwhelming characters of the group, but they're given a lot more in this movie, and I really enjoyed them together, especially together. They're all very wholesome. I love their relationship throughout the film, and I love their dynamic more than anything. They were just fantastic, and I really enjoyed seeing them, and that's kind of the general thing for this movie is it just made you like every character that was in Scream 5 way more than you did in Scream 5. It just adds to everyone. It really sells the fact that this is the new group and this is who we're going to follow probably for like the next two Scream movies, and that's okay. This group of friends is genuinely interesting and have really good chemistry with one another and are very likable, and I really enjoyed them, so I'm really excited to see where they're actually going to take the next few Scream movies if they get made, which, let's be honest, they're going to get made. Let's just get that out of the way. Courtney Cox also comes back as Gale. She's still fantastic. I was kind of skeptical to see how she would actually play out in the film since there's no Sydney in this film, as I think that's the big takeaway from this movie that's going to be kind of more divisive to some fans, is that she's not in this movie at all. But I definitely think Gale provided that legacy character vibe that we desperately needed, at least a little bit in the Scream movie, and she definitely succeeded my expectations. She's pretty good in this movie. It's interesting enough about this movie because I don't really have that much to complain about. The only thing I will say that I'm going to be complaining about is unfortunately the ending. The ending of this movie is pretty weak. And I'm taking that in the point of view of the reveal of the killers and then just the whole sequence in general. It sets it up really nicely, and everything in the movie, it seems like, that happens before is fantastic. If I'm rating this movie from that point of view of everything other than the first like half an hour, this movie's easily a 9 out of 10. And it's so well put out, and I was so excited to see where this was leading, how big this was leading, because it's centering about legacy in all these different films. So I thought it was going to be something bigger than what it was, and that's not even me saying like, oh, I got my expectations too high. It genuinely just wasn't the greatest twist in the world. Like, it made sense. You'll see if you see the movie, but it's definitely weaker, and especially to some of the other killers in the franchise. There are details that do make this twist a tad more interesting, but it's not amazing. Like, it's not the best thing ever. It's not bad by any means, but it's definitely not my favorite, and it's definitely what dragged the movie down for me, is that what it all led to was kind of like, okay, like, that's what you're doing? Cool. And it just didn't feel as grand, as epic as I think they were thinking it would be. Another weird problem I have with this movie is that there's a lot of times in this movie where someone will get stabbed in the most fatal way. Like, it's blatantly obvious. If you got stabbed there, you would die. And they walk out of it fine. And I know some people in the comments are going to say, oh, Gavin, it's a movie, though. You have to suspend your disbelief. And I'm like, yes. But at the same time, when you see these people get attacked in all these gruesome ways, it's pretty... Even in the way they frame it, how they shoot it, really makes it feel like they're dead. And it even got to a point where someone at the end of the movie, one of my friends that I was there with, he was like, man, I can't believe that character died. And I'm like, they didn't. And he's like, what? And I was like, no, they didn't die because they mentioned right before they left that they're alive, but they're just in bad shape. And there's just little moments like that spread throughout the film that are just like, what? Like, how did you make it out of that? And it kind of ruins, in a way, some of the tension for me, especially after, like, the freaking third time it happens. It's just kind of like, okay, I understand that you like these characters and you want to set them up for future movies, but like, you have to let go at some point. That's the thing that made, in my opinion, Scream 5 so impactful, is that they had the balls to kill off certain characters. And in this movie, it feels like they're almost a little scared to do that. I didn't really like that. I thought they should have tried a little bit harder to give us that tension, because there's a lot of really good tension in this movie, but when in reality someone can get stabbed like that throughout the movie and just come out consequence-free, it doesn't seem as deserved, and it takes away from that. It really takes away from that tension. But honestly, that would be the only two complaints I have with this movie. I freaking loved my time with this movie. It was a super enjoyable film. One of the better Scream movies released in a while. This movie checked all my boxes for what I was hoping for in a Scream movie, and that's why I'm going to give this movie a very solid 7 out of 10. It's extremely enjoyable. I really want to see it again. I highly recommend to any fan to go see it. It does so much for the franchise, honestly, and oh my god. But no, it does so much for the franchise, and I'm so excited to see it again, and I can't wait for 7 at this point. But anyways, if you like this video, please like and subscribe down below for more content on the channel coming pretty damn soon, and I'm going to see you all in the next one. See ya.